I have been on the most unexpected big learning journey over this past 6 to 9 months, and it has mainly been surrounding my period. And one of my biggest takeaways is how many women can normalize not having a period and how common this is and how misunderstood it is. And I just want this video to be your reminder: your period is not an inconvenience. It is the literal reason that your body feels safe, is functioning, and your period is a vital sign. That means when you have a period, that means things are working properly. And I kind of wanted to unpack a few areas that I also feel like I didn't look enough into and also didn't understand enough. And having come out of the other side, I want to put a video out there that I feel like I couldn't find or didn't resonate with. If it even helps one person who's felt an inch of what I felt to just feel heard and understood, that is my intention with this video. In this video, what I'm going to share is my personal experience. I would totally recommend you to go and seek medical help from a doctor, a specialist, a hormone specialist that has got the accreditations to be able to help and support you. This is all my experience in this video, so that's what I just wanted to disclaim this one with. This is what's worked for me, and we're all different, unique, have different lifestyles, so please bear that in mind. So my scenario is very extreme. So I decided to do my first ever bodybuilding bikini competition last year, and I got down to between 5 to 8% body fat. Now, I knew I was taking myself to an extreme, and that was something that I wanted to do, and I had this mindset when I committed to it, because it was a big journey in itself, and I don't regret anything. Like, I truly believe we are supposed to go through things to learn and evolve, but having the knowledge that I have now, would I change things? I wouldn't change anything, but I feel like my decisions would have been different if I'd have, had the knowledge that I have now. But like, that is just life, isn't it? We go through different experiences to learn, to grow, to evolve, and maybe I've gone through that to be able to help someone else not go through that, ideally. This was way deeper than any calorie deficit or any like fat loss phase. I took myself to a deep deficit. I dropped my calories lower and lower over a big period of time, and I was doing a lot of exercise. I would say I lost my period when my cardio started creeping up, and there were so many things that I feel like, with it being my first bodybuilding prep, I wasn't strict enough with my sleep schedule. There were so many things where I was stressing my body out, and I feel like I had a lot of kind of signals that I ignored, thinking, oh no, this is what I'm doing, this is what I'm following through with. I definitely am not someone who would have gotten into this scenario on my own, if that makes sense, like if it wasn't going to an extreme, because generally can listen to my body quite well, and I'm very in tune. If anything, I've always been the other way. Like, I've never really gone to extremes, hence why I wanted to challenge myself, and that's fine. I don't need to explain myself to anyone, and that's just part of my life choices and where I'm at. So I've got some science here. So amenorrhea is the medical term for period loss for 3 or more months. The full term is hypothalamic amenorrhea, when your brain literally stops sending signals to the ovaries to ovulate, usually because of stress, undereating, or a low body fat percentage, but more often than not, a combination of all of those things. A study from the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology and Metabolism shows that body fat below 17% in women can significantly reduce luteinizing hormone, LH, pulsality, one of the key signals required for ovulation. Without it, your period literally shuts down, which is what I was experiencing for the first time in my life. And it's basically your body's way of actually protecting you, and it's just sort of saying, we do not have enough resources for reproduction, so we're going to shut this thing down to survive, which when you deep that, is wild. If you've experienced this in the past, or you're currently going through this exact thing, you will truly understand as well how this is not just physical, it is such a mental thing and takes a toll on you emotionally, spiritually, physically, every single part of yourself. Like, I found it very consuming, and now having come out of the other side, I really want to just stress like how much better I feel. Sometimes when you're in the midst of something, it's really difficult to see. You're like, oh, I feel okay. I don't have a period, but I feel okay. My energy's okay. And it's only when you start feeling really good and knowing what that good feels like, you start to understand, okay, that was just me literally getting by. With women's body fat percentage, we literally need that body fat to be able to create these hormones to keep us functioning. I wanted to share some of the effects of no period and not having a regular menstrual cycle, just because this is something that I feel like isn't shared enough, or like there's not enough information on. And first one is cognitive and mood dysregulation. Now I would say for the entire time that I did not have a period, like now having had a period, I can't tell you, it's like two different people. It is, and it gives me goosebumps feeling this, and even getting goosebumps right now is something I'll never take for granted again. If you follow me for a long time, you'll see I'm a spiritual girly and I meditate daily, and I couldn't connect with myself, and I stopped getting things like full body goosebumps with like having not had a period, because hormones like estrogen and progesterone are deeply connected to mood, and when they're absent, your brain chemistry changes. Research shows estrogen supports serotonin production and receptor sensitivity, meaning lower estrogen equals higher risk of anxiety, depression and brain fog. Now that is something that I definitely felt like I had as well. Like when I wasn't having menstrual cycles, just felt like it was hard to think sometimes, and my capacity, like my brain capacity, creative ideas were just reduced. And when I wasn't having a cycle, I felt like it was almost like I could just feel like my ovaries were just, they were switched off. I was flatlined, way more anxious and reactive, and just like I was struggling to not only maintain but keep relationships with people who loved me the most. Like my dad, for example, like I just couldn't get on with him, and certain friends, I feel like I pushed a lot of people away, and this is, you know, a big part of that mood dysregulation. And I definitely experienced difficulty remembering things, and just saying this out loud, having come out the other side, I just want to remind you, like, it's just not worth feeling like that. Other kind of effects is cardiovascular health. So estrogen also protects your heart. Without it, like, your cardiovascular risk increases. And then of course infertility and reproductive complications. This one's obvious, but it's still misunderstood. So obviously no period equals no ovulation, so you physically cannot get pregnant. Again, I'm really not trying to scare you, but I just want to like talk through some of these things. And then metabolic dysregulation, so lower resting metabolic rate, cold intolerance and slowed thyroid, so different effects on your hormones. And then blunted emotional or social connection, like I said in the point earlier, I really felt like I just had lost my sensuality, you know, just like that feminine, like I remember not wanting to touch my own body, or like I just didn't like affection. I had no desire to connect, absolutely no libido, like not even an inch, you know, just like that feminine urge that you get every few weeks, gone, totally gone. There was no, I just couldn't connect or like feel parts of myself, and my intuition, you know, just like your inner knowing just felt really dimmed. Like I was just no emotion, no highs, no lows, just very much like that. I think one of the biggest things for me was feeling like I'd just lost my like womanhood, which you can never lose, but I felt I just couldn't connect to my female energy at all, and that sexual, that magnetizing feeling had just totally dissipated and gone. And that's one of the most things that makes me the happiest, and like what I feel like I can build other connections with other women, with other people, with my family and friends, and it's just something that is like your glow, you know, like everyone deserves to feel that. And what's interesting is estrogen and oxytocin, which are linked to touch, bonding, love, softness, both decline, and that affects how you relate not only to yourself but to others as well. So it makes sense totally about that connection aspect that you don't hear spoken about when you do lose your period. Like maybe you just think, oh, I just don't have a period, like it's convenient that I don't have a period, when actually you're losing so many different parts of yourself, and it's not worth any physicality, any level of leanness to lose, you know, those parts of yourself. And bone loss and osteoporosis, this is a long-term risk of amenorrhea, so that's bone mineral density loss. A study of clinical endocrinology and metabolism found that women with functional hypothalamic amenorrhea had significantly lower bone mineral density compared to regular menstruating women, even if their BMI was normal. Estrogen is basically crucial for building and maintaining strong bones, and you're at high risk of osteopenia and osteoporosis, and many women don't find out until they break a bone kind of unexpectedly. When I lost my period, I had full faith, I had full confidence, oh, I will just get it straight back, as in I thought, right, maybe this is what I'm going to have to lose for a few months until my shows were done. As I know pretty much every other bikini athlete, obviously there will be some who do keep a cycle throughout. I did natural bodybuilding, so that also plays a part, but predominantly anyone that I spoke to had also lost their period past a certain point, and I just thought, oh, my body will just get it straight back. I experienced hormone imbalances in different ways, like high testosterone, PCOS, and I've managed to reverse a lot of my symptoms naturally. So I had full confidence in my body and in myself. I thought, oh, I will have my period for without a few months, and saying this out loud is painful, but I'm just being totally honest. So I had full confidence that it would come back as soon as I started obviously increasing my calories after these bodybuilding shows, and that was my mentality. And obviously people did question me, like my partner said, what, like maybe you should just totally stop this, like it's not worth, you know, not having a period. But I just replied and I just thought, oh no, it will come back. And I really didn't think of all the other effects that that came with not having a cycle, like hair loss, feeling absolutely horrendous, low energy availability and low mood. Then how did I actually get mine back? So I've broken this down into gaining weight, nutrition, training and lifestyle overhaul, and we're gonna just get into each one. If there was one that I feel like is the biggest, it is gaining weight. In order for me to get my period back, I wholeheartedly know in my heart, in my body, I did need to gain more weight than I probably would have liked to begin with when I think about it. I tried the approach of gaining a little bit but not enough, as in I was still very low body fat. My body didn't have enough body fat to be able to produce these hormones and hadn't had enough of a boost, which came from obviously gaining the body weight, which meant I was eating more food. And what I did want to share, which is interesting and I didn't know would be the case, but I got my period back at the weight that I lost my period at, like pretty much thereabout, which is interesting. But I would say with the gaining weight, it was really about that mental commitment and looking at it as well in different ways. Like I was like, right, I'm gonna get excited about gaining weight. It's not like, oh, I'm gaining weight and just getting fat, but gaining weight through my gaining phases, you know, putting on muscle as well and really glamorizing that, because, you know, we just see online women are told to shrink, to get smaller, and that is the only kind of like glamorized thing. But there is so much to gain when you are putting on lean muscle tissue, shaping and sculpting your body, and you're getting so much more creative in the kitchen with your food. Feel like you've got way more freedom if you have come from a restrictive mindset. So please don't think it's just like all doom and gloom and you're just going to get fat. And it doesn't happen like that as well. And you can do it in a, you know, a nice gradual way, depending on where you're at. That is going to be unique. A study from the Human Reproductive Update, which was a 2019 one, said the recovery of menstrual function in women with functional amenorrhea is correlated with increased fat mass, not just total weights. Like I said, that's going to be different for person to person, and trying to find a set point. Like I'd say the weight that I've got my period back is a weight that my body feels comfortable at. I'm not restrictive. I can eat, you know, my good amount of meals. I'm not thinking about food. And I would say that is a general weight where your body just feels calm and like it can function. And that might be higher for some people. It might be lower. Like that is just obviously person dependent. Okay, let's talk nutrition. So for me, it wasn't a set number of calories. It was genuinely just making sure I was eating enough. So I have 5 meals a day. Some of those are obviously snacks, like one of them's a yogurt bowl, for example, but eating really regular. Now I did lose my period whilst eating 5 meals a day, but of lower calories. So it's been really important for me to increase my food. That, like, again, obviously I wouldn't have been able to gain weight. I'd gone from having 40 grams of oats to 70 grams of oats in a morning, and it was mainly carbs that I truly needed to increase. Like I really want to stress that you need carbs to be able to feel safe, and low carb diets can increase cortisol and reduce T3, both of which suppress ovulation. Like carbs are so necessary, and they give you that, I felt like for me personally, they give me that safe feeling, making sure I'm eating enough carbs and adding more carbs in. I feel like that was the one thing that I feel like I was keeping on the lower end for too long that didn't help with my hormones. So I don't think there's a set number of calories. Again, it is person dependent. It's just making sure you're eating obviously the amount of food that your body feels relaxed, you're actually fueling yourself, you're not going to bed hungry. I've always had caffeine, and I did a marathon training block where my intensity was super high, my food was high, and I had a lot of caffeine. So caffeine's been something that I think just has a combination effect. Like I found in that I was just feeling quite jittery and anxious. Reducing that has just made me feel a lot calmer and whole, and like I'm actually safe in my body. So I would have a coffee as soon as I open my eyes, whereas now I push it back to after my breakfast. I didn't cut out caffeine totally, I just cut it back to 1 a day, which was hard for me because I am a coffee girly. Like I love the ritual of it. It brings me so much happiness and joy, probably more than I'd like to admit. But that was just something I really think it was a contributing factor to getting my cycle back. I really just want to really put out there how you need to increase those carbs. That I truly believe that it's not just about just increasing fats and protein. We also need carbs for energy, like that's your body's preferred energy source at the end of the day. Then training components. So in my prep, towards the back end of prep, was doing 5 30-minute cardio sessions on top of my daily step goal, which by the end of my prep was between like 14k to 16k daily, like on top of the Stairmaster and on top of my workout. Like that is a hell of a lot. That's like half a day basically, every single day exercising, so very extreme. So that was reduced. So steps was the first thing that I reduced, because that is something that you don't realise that is putting a lot of stress on your body still. If you're doing a 16k step goal, you think about it, that's like what, 3 hours of walking a day depending on your speed. That is still a stress on your body. You think about it, you go out for a long hour, you know, like an hour walk, you come back and you're like, oh, I'm a bit tired actually. But people think, oh, I can, you know, it's only walking, it's lower, it's not as intense as obviously an intense cardio, but it still is stress on the body, and that needed to be scaled back. So between 8 and 10k daily, and if I didn't hit it one day, like not a big deal. I actually stopped running for for about 2 months totally. I wasn't running loads during prep, but I still was running about twice a week, so just didn't do any HIIT and just really wanted to keep my nervous system less stressed and just mainly walked. I kept my 4 weight sessions. I did have 2 weeks where I pretty much had it off, which I do think helped with overall stress and just reduce things where I could. I was training 5 days a week. I pulled that down to 4 days, 2 upper body days, 2 lower body days, and I just stopped training like my body was a machine and started actually like thinking, wait, how am I feeling right now? Do I need an extra rest day? And tuning in again, which is what I'd really pushed through towards the end of this bodybuilding prep. I was pushing my body when I didn't feel, when I was really fatigued, which is something that I've never done in any other phase. Like, it was for an extreme purpose and for the purpose of a competition, which has taught me a lot. And there's a cost of that. And then lifestyle overhaul. So this has been a big part. So I felt like I say, I was struggling to connect with myself during my meditations and get into that relaxed state. Like, I just felt like my mind was always on and I was literally struggling to sit still. So committing every single day to do at least a 5 to 10 to 20 minute journaling session to bring me back to myself. And even when I felt like my mind was busy, to just try and connect with myself. I cannot imagine this past year without these prompts that have just kept me focused on deeper things and out of the surface level. Making this a priority, I've been able to see, okay, why would I ever want to stay a certain unhealthy weight? Where am I getting my self-worth from? And making sure my self-worth is being fueled not externally, and that I'm getting my validation from myself. And you can do the exact same. And also working with a therapist, which has really supported just throughout all these different transitions and helped me work things out and navigate through this, and using things like my Whoop watch to track my metrics so that I'm getting some form of biofeedback, because it can feel like you're doing all the right things and it's so frustrating because you don't feel like you might have not had that period or that win. Just like anything worth having, you've got to think of the long term and what you're trying to control, because I do think things like this come from a deeper part of ourselves that needs kind of addressing, like that root, which isn't for the faint-hearted and isn't done overnight. It takes time. I just want to share this in case it can help you watching this. You are not alone. You are so capable of getting your period back. Just keep trusting in yourself, and you know what you need to be doing as well. Like, I knew when I needed to listen and I didn't, and I feel like I've had to go through that to be able to get the trust back with myself, with my choices, and I just know you can do the exact same. If you are needing that community support, Flowness is exactly that. This is where I have all my workout programs, support. We have calls with hormone specialists and doctors inside there who we delve into things like this that are a little bit more taboo, that shouldn't be taboo. And there's a lot of other girlies who have experienced this. That is where we can connect, share vulnerably. It's a total safe space. Thank you so much for making it this far in the video. I'm so proud of you as well for, making that choice and choosing to change if you have been suffering with this. I hope this has been useful. So much love, and I'll speak to you soon.